Hey, amigas. We've been putting a lot of effort into our online training platform, and I want to make sure you know about it. SWA Online is a membership based platform that is packed with surf tutorial videos categorized by experience level and board length. You can learn everything from how to wrap your longboard leash so it actually stays on to tips to troubleshoot backside tube riding and everything in between, all taught by super knowledgeable female surf coaches. There's also surf specific yoga classes, workout programs, surf edits to get you frothy, and interesting and inspiring stories from women in our circle. Ugh. There's both a monthly and yearly membership option, but if you're not looking to add another one of those to your collection, there's also the option to buy individual courses and workout series like our 6-week Surf Trip Ready workout program, which is probably the most popular on the platform. If you've got a retreat coming up, you definitely want to check that one out. So head over to surfwithamigas.com and click on the Surf Tutorials and Trainings tab to check it all out, and I'll see you there.
I would say for the most part, like I typically go back to the standards, like the breathing, either on your back or on your belly. And I'm sure this happens to a lot of amigas where if you haven't surfed in a while, your ribs, they hurt, right? Because like if you're not used to being in that extension, your rib cage, like it's kind of digging into the board. I've noticed because now instead of my breath constantly going forward, I get my breath to go more backwards. Like I don't get that rib pain. If I haven't surfed in a while, I'll feel some, but not as much as I used to because my breath has been trained to go backwards so much rather than forwards. Feel like my nervous system is really jazzed and I have all this pent up energy. Like, I don't know if it feels like this in your body, but it's like you're revving tires. Like your body needs to go, but there's nowhere to go. And so like I'll jump on my rebounder and I'll just kind of shake
What?
it out a little bit just to like shake, like shake your muscles out and just kind of like disperse all that energy throughout the rest of your body. But then just being mindful of thoughts. If I start to feel anxious or stressed, like what's causing that? And just kind of noticing like what those little stress triggers are or anxiety triggers or whatever it is.
Hey, amigas. If you are a fitness girly or you just want to get in better shape and you've heard about foundation training and wondering if it's for you, then this episode might just answer that question. If you have done our 6-week Surf Trip Ready fitness series that is available on Surf Dominguez online, then you will recognize this voice because it is from Gabrielle, who is our Pilates workout instructor. And she talks about her journey to become a fitness instructor and why foundation training might be the cure for all of your back pain. I don't know if I'm convinced, but it is interesting to think about. Even have you ever gone on a surf trip and spent a bunch of time paddling and noticed that your ribs are really sore? Well, apparently foundation training is the answer. So take a listen and see what you think. Um, so
Oh,
I'm going to start by saying that I did the first workout from the new series, the like 3-week like advanced workout series, and I have
yeah.
been, like back in like August through October, I was like relatively stable in one place, and so I was like going to workout class like regularly. And if I like felt too lazy to leave the house, I was like doing an online workout. And so I felt like I was like in really good shape. And then I spent November and December traveling with my family and being in Nicaragua. And like, even though when I'm in Nicaragua, like if it's just me, like I'm like surfing and being active, but this trip the waves were really small and I was primarily surfing with my kids, which means I wasn't really catching any waves. And also I was tired at the end of the day, so I did
Yeah.
not do any working out like whatsoever. And I finally like got back home and like I'm like, okay, I got to get back into the routine here and I'm going to do this workout. And oh my
Yeah.
God, I was so
Yeah.
sore the next day that like I couldn't, when you like go to like sit on the toilet and like you have to like put your hand down and like help lower yourself down,
Yep.
like, oh my goodness.
Yeah, that one, it's an advanced series. It's yeah. I had some feedback from some friends that did the first one, and one of them was like, "It was just really easy." And I was like, "Okay, so here we go."
Yeah, no, it's good. And like I said, I think it's not nothing bad about the workout. The workout was awesome. The problem was
Yeah,
me. I was the problem.
yeah,
I needed to like I should have like gone back because it had been so long since I had like done anything like that. I should have like gone back and done the Surf Trip Ready series is great because it was like very accessible and I like
yeah,
it because it's like short and like not exhausting, so it's easier to
yeah.
like do them. But yes, anyway, long story short, like thank you and also ouch.
Yeah, we can talk about that as the kind of stuff goes on about how just different muscles that I target, I try to hit the ones that you're not used to working, so that way your whole body's more balanced and well-rounded.
Yeah,
So,
it's awesome.
yeah.
Anyways, we always like to start by asking, where are you in the world and did you surf
Mhm.
today?
I am in Whitefish, Montana, and it is in the middle of winter. So that is a big fat no. I did not surf today, but I did snowboard all weekend and I skate skied yesterday. I'm trying to learn a new skill every year. So I'm primarily a boarder. So I'm really good at going toe side, heel side with one thing under my feet, but with two things, it is like a completely foreign skill. So yeah, so I'm learning a new skill of skate skiing this year.
So I've not even
Yeah.
heard of skate ski because I am not a mountain person, but like what is skate
Yeah.
skiing?
Well, you've got 2 types of Nordic skiing. You've got, like, your traditional cross-country skiing, which you're, like, on skinny skis, and you're just kinda just going forward and backwards. But skate skiing, it's a lot more cardio, and you're skating, but on skinny skis and long poles. Um, man, it is a workout.
Okay, so now
Yeah,
that you
so
say
you're
that, I feel like I've seen that. It's like you're kind of like it's like you're more like when you said skate, I imagined a skateboard. So, but it sounds
yeah.
like it's more ice skates vibes.
Ice skates, yes, but it's like you're skating, like rollerblading or ice skating, but with skinny skis. And so, yeah, that action is just not in my body because I'm a boarder, so I've been snowboarding since college, and that's what I do going downhill. I don't skate. It's very humbling to learn new skills in your 40s, I will say.
And what
Yeah.
prompted you to decide to take that on?
Like, I think I've lived in Whitefish, Montana for almost, it's like since 2008. So sometimes we get great snow, and I've just become like, I don't really love to go snowboarding unless we have good powder. It's kind of like you don't really want to go surf on a choppy day. Like, I don't really want to go snowboard on an icy, not fresh powdery day. So I'm just looking for some other way to get outside. We also got a puppy, and so I'm looking for ways to take him outdoors too. And my daughter does lessons twice a week for skate skiing and cross country. So just another way to get outside, enjoy the weather because if you don't, it's so gray here in the wintertime. Like the sun never fully peaks. So it's really, you have to get outside or you just kind of get a little bit depressed.
You're actually skate skiing with the dog on a leash?
Oh, I would never put him on a leash and skate ski. No, I won't take him yet. I have to learn first.
Oh, okay,
We just go on trails that are groomed because I do a
I
lot of
see.
groomed trails around here that your dog can just go.
Got
You
it.
don't have to have him on a leash. So yeah, Wild West.
Awesome. Yeah, well, like we were saying, we both feel like we know each other, except we actually don't know each other at all, really. So I want to get to know you. So can you tell me about you? Like, where did you grow up, and how did surfing first enter your awareness?
Yeah, so I grew up in Eastern North Carolina outside of Greenville. And my dad grew up in Virginia Beach, and his dad and all his brothers and him, they were beach lifeguards growing up. So surfing was in his blood, being a beach person was in his blood. So when I was trying to think if it was either late middle school or early high school. One of his best friends gave me his old, like 10-foot WRV wave riding vehicles, giant longboard. And so we had a little beach trailer in between Atlantic Beach and Emerald Isle, this small little place called Salter Path. And so there's a sandbar right out in front of our beach trailer. So my dad would take me out there and just push me into waves. And it was just so fun, just gliding on water. So then when I turned 16, every weekend I was down at our beach trailer I had a little white Jeep Wrangler. I wanted a Daisy Duke Jeep. So I had like my surfboard, nose down in the back. And every weekend I was at the beach just trying to work on surfing. My dad would still go out there sometimes and push me into waves. I mean, on a longboard that big and on East Coast surf in Eastern North Carolina, there were small beach break waves. So there's never like a long, consistent break. So that just kind of put the bug in my body. And I think from learning at such a young age, I was just so comfortable in the water. Like I'm a water person. So I just love being in the ocean. Um, yeah, then my husband and I went to school in Western North Carolina, so kind of surfing was on the back burner for a bit. Then we moved back east, and after we got married, we would go again to the beach every weekend and go surfing. So with the East Coast surf, you never know what you're going to get. So I got really comfortable getting pounded in waves. If there's a hurricane swell, I got really comfortable just going out and just on the paddle treadmill, pretty much where you're just can't quite make it. So I never really get nervous or scared in the water because I've spent so much time. And yeah, just loved it. I just love it. It's just so much fun.
Okay, but so
And
then how did you go from loving it and being like having surfing be a part of your lifestyle to living in the mountains?
Well, that's a good question. So when we moved back east, to Eastern North Carolina, he worked for his dad, and we kind of tried out the family business and decided that's not what we want to do. So we had some friends that lived in Whitefish, and so we decided to come out for the summer. And we are still here. We haven't left yet. There's just so much to do here. So we ended up actually buying a surf boat because we've got a lake a mile from our house and the mountains 10 minutes away. So it's kind of like the best of both worlds where you always have a sport, whatever season you're in. So yeah, we bought a boat about 5 years ago. And so now we've got an endless wave. So when it's calm out, we'll take the boat out and just we'll go surf for hours. So and you've got music going and, it's just really fun. So it doesn't really help you, like, catch waves, I would say, but it really does help you work with your board skills. So we'll go out on our lake here, there's a reservoir a little bit further down the road where there's nobody at, and so we can just space out, and we'll take our camping stuff, and we'll find a little island and camp on it, and so we go kinda island camping and surfing for the weekend, pretty much every weekend in the summer. So, yeah.
I mean, that don't get me wrong, that sounds fun. I have
Yeah.
surfed behind the boat and definitely gotten that feeling of like, "Oh, this is, like, so fun," and you could
Yeah.
like you said, you could ride forever and all of that, but it is still it's not the ocean, and it's not
Well,
like to me, like, the part of the thing of surfing isn't riding the wave. I mean, anybody that surfed knows that, like, the actual time riding the wave is very, very small, so you better like the rest of it because most of the time you're doing the rest of it. And so in that wake surfing situation, you're kinda missing that whole rest of it. I mean, you're on the water, but other
oh,
than that, like, was that, like is that something that you kind of, I don't know, are sad about, or you're just like, "No, I'm embracing that all these other things."
yeah, I'm embracing all these other things because then you try different stuff where, like, I take this 6 foot, it's like a really fat, it's an ocean board, so it's a 6 foot Lost lazy toy. So I take that behind it, and it's actually long enough that you can work on cross stepping. And then we bought a foil, so I've been trying to work on foiling behind the boat too. So it just kind of opens up other ways that you can play on the water. And it's just fun because then you've got your friends out there with you. Like, yeah, we'll go with my daughter too. And so she'll ride on like the front wave, and then my husband will ride on the back wave on his foil. And so it's just, it's a whole different thing, but at least it still keeps surfing in your body. Um, and it's like an endless wave. Like you can literally ride like an entire album if you want to. Like whatever album is your favorite, you just ride the whole time.
Wow. That is no wonder it's important for you to be so fit because I couldn't even I feel like my legs would give out riding an entire album of one wave.
Yeah, it's funny, like you do, and so then I'll switch over to the foil because that's more of your front foot, whereas the surfboard's more on your back foot, but you just end up playing, and when you're first learning how to wake surf, you're just kinda worried about getting up and staying behind the boat, but then after a while, you drop the rope, and I like to see how far back in the wave I can get, and then that way I've got more wave to play with, and so you just have fun with it, you just make the most about it. And then we just went to Maui, and it was so crowded. There was just, like, hundreds of people in the water, and there was only 3 breaks that were doing anything, and so, eh. So, it's a good way that you can just still go surf, but not have to worry about the crowds or if it's flat.
I
So,
mean, fair enough.
yeah.
That's a really good argument for surfing behind the boat.
Not the same, but it's still at least like it's still just I still have the same amount of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so how we have been kind of working together is through the workout videos. So do you want to talk
Mhm.
about how you got into being a trainer?
Sure, totally. Um, gosh, let's see. I when I was in college, like my good friend that lived down the road from me, she was like my running partner. And so we would meet up in the middle of the road, go run through the mountains, and then come back home. And she invited me to a fitness convention. Um, and I went with her and just fell in love with the industry. Like there's just so much to do. So I took like a cycling class and a Pilates class and a yoga class. And like the BOSU had just come out at the time. So it was like a brand new thing. So I just did all these workshops and I just really fell in love with the fitness industry. So I got this kind of weekend BS $99 Pilates certification so I could go teach at this little gym. So I did that for a couple months, and then people kept asking me more and more about Pilates. And that I was really drawn towards. I think because it was low impact, it just felt really good to kind of stretch, but also tone and work on smaller muscles that I'd never had really focused on in the past. So then I kind of researched and found like a really professional Pilates certification. So I went with what was called Stop Pilates, STOTT. And it was in a full Pilates studio. So I walk in and they have all the equipment, the Cadillac, the reformers, but they had all the equipment in there. And I just fell in love with the method of it, where everything was you start, with your basics and then you can progress to advanced. So as a kid, I grew up playing the violin and I grew up playing the Suzuki method where you start with like your twinkles and then you go all the way through book 12. Like every grade, you kind of go through a different book. So for me, having that structure and like a path that you can follow is just really enticing. So after my first mat certification, I was like, that's what I want to do. So I just kind of continued on the path, got certified in all the other apparatus, and then became an instructor trainer so I could teach others to become teachers as well. And that now is kind of like where my passion is. As much as I love training clients, really I love training other teachers to be better teachers. Like that's where I get like the most out of my job, I would say. Yeah, so I opened a studio. My husband, like he's a pilot. So he worked for this company and flew drones for a while. And he had a month off during his deployment. And we actually went to Bali. So we surfed that whole month, which was incredible. We can talk about that later. But when he came back, we had kind of like a nest egg of money. So I opened up my own studio, ran that for 10 years and loved it, loved it, loved it until I had a kid. And now I had a kid to work with and to raise a husband who was gone all the time because he's a pilot and now a studio to run. So I was just completely burned out. So I closed my studio 2 years ago. And I remember like the last couple of months, I would just sit there and daydream of like, gosh, what do I want to do? If I was to close this, like, what do I do? And my first thought was like, go on a surf retreat. I just want to go on a surf retreat. I want to get better at surfing. And so I would train these old clients and I'm just daydreaming about surfing the whole time. So yeah. So fell into the fitness industry just from a friend and then just like you just go where you're supposed to go and I just fell into this Pilates community and I just really enjoy it.
What would
Yeah.
you say that you like? I mean, I heard you say that Pilates in particular, you like
Mhm.
the methodology and the structure, but you also mentioned like I
Mhm.
just loved like the fitness world and the fitness community. Like what was it about that community that really spoke to you?
Just you can just be so creative with your body through movement other than just dance and squats and lunges, like there's just so many ways that you can just move your body in just creative ways. And for me it was kind of like with the violin, it's the same thing. Like here's your twinkles and here's your, books that you can learn, but then beyond that, there's so many ways you can be creative with music. And for me, I'm more of a mover rather than staying stationary. So it's just a really fun way to just move your body in all different planes of motion. Um, and just a really fun creative outlet. So I think that's what was really drawn towards. Yeah.
Okay, and then you went into Pilates, but now I feel like a big part of what you do is foundation training, and I know foundation
Mhm.
training is kind of like so hot right now, or at least it has been over the last couple of years. So
Yeah.
can you talk about what is foundation training? How did you get into it? Like, how do you see it as a part of what you do now?
Totally. So I was teaching a Pilates course and I just had my daughter. So she was maybe like 6, 7 months old. And my back hurt so bad. So everything that I did, my back was just, it killed me. So I was teaching this Pilates course on what's called the stability chair. And a girl came up from Bozeman, who's actually an amiga. She's going to be on the trip in or in April as well. She came with me last time in January. So she could tell that I was just really uncomfortable and in some pain. So she pulled me aside after the first day of the course and was like, "Hey, I noticed that you don't seem like you're really comfortable in your body right now." And I was like, "No, my lower back just it really hurts. So I'm just muscling my way through these exercises I have to show you guys." So prior to that, I'd gone to like a couple of chiropractors. One of my clients was a rolfer, so he did like the whole rolfing series on my body, gone to physical therapy, and nothing was lasting. Like I still kept throwing my back out, whereas I would get temporary relief, but then the pain would just show back up again. So I remember asking all those practitioners, like, I think I have a bad movement pattern. Can you just like watch me? And all of them said, well, that's not what I do. So I knew that I was doing something that kept throwing my back out, but I wasn't sure what it was. So my friend Heidi, she laid me down on the ground and she had me do 2 or 3 different breathing exercises and this anchoring. And I felt instant relief in my back. And so I was like, okay, whatever you just did really helped. And I felt less pain. And so I practiced those same 3 exercises for like 3 weeks. Then there was no online content at the time. So I bought like their DVD. And then Heidi had just gone through her foundation training certification. Um, so then I went to a workshop that they had in Missoula, which is just like 2 hours from here, and just completely again fell in love because my back felt better. Like, even though I wasn't doing it correctly, my back felt so much better. So I kept continuing on with the exercises I had learned. Every day I'd lay on the ground and do like the anchored bridge exercise and then the prone decompression. And both of those helped my back. Like I didn't feel the pain. I could actually drive and go to the grocery store and not be in tears because my back felt better. So then I went to their certification, did my level 1 and level 2, and I never feel pain in my lower back anymore. Even though I still have in an x-ray, you can see I've got like compression in my L3, L4, and up in like my upper thoracic. I never feel them because I've learned how to strengthen the muscles that support my spine rather than my body to rest into those joints. So yeah, for me, it's just been game changer of back care and back health, but also it's opened my eyes to a different way to train the body. Whereas with Pilates, it was invented over 100 years ago from a man named Joseph Pilates, and he was primarily working with dancers. And so if you think about our modern lifestyle 100 years ago, we weren't sitting, we weren't driving in cars, we didn't have phones. And again, he was working with dancers. So he did everything in external rotation, like turning their legs out, and a lot of like flexion, rounding the spine to strengthen the abdominals. Whereas foundation training kind of does the exact opposite. It pulls you more towards internal rotation to create space into your SI joint and into your lower back. And it also teaches you to engage your abdominals in a more upright position rather than flex because of our modern lifestyle. So I've definitely modified how I teach Pilates. I don't do as much flexion and I hardly ever do any external rotation. And I've just helped, I know at least 15 of my clients avoid back surgery just from changing their movement patterns, which is pretty powerful. So,
Yeah, I'm glad that you mentioned that because as you were talking, I was thinking like that's what I wanted to ask because I noticed. So, if anybody that is listening to this that doesn't know, like Gabrielle is a huge part of our fitness program on Surf with Amigas online. And if you've gone on a retreat and you've gotten the like pre-retreat information, you'll see a link to sign up for the 6 week pre-surf. What is it called? The Surf Trip Ready workout program. And so what's cool about that is it's like a combination of various, like there's like a little Pilates, there's like kind of
mhm,
some like yoga, and
mhm,
then there is the foundation training. And I noticed, and it rotates. So it's like one day
yeah,
it's this and one day it's that. And I noticed when I was doing the series that whenever it was like the foundation training day, like my feeling in doing it was like easy, or it was like kind of
mhm,
more like boring or maybe less like strenuous. I don't know, like any of these words are like exactly the right thing, but it was like kind of those things. Like if I was feeling sort of tired that day and I was like, oh, I got to do my, I set this intention to do these things every few days, and like I would like look and I was like, oh, today's the foundation training day, like perfect because I'm feeling tired. Or
Yeah.
if I was like, no, I didn't surf and I kind of want more, I'd be like, oh, it's the foundation training one. And
Yeah.
and so I wanted to hear from you, like, because I think most people think like, oh, this is like a workout or whatever, but it's not. It's not necessarily like a workout in the sense that maybe most people understand a workout to be. Like it's a little bit
Mhm.
like slower, and you feel like you're not really doing anything.
So it's more isometric. So through a video, it's really hard to do. So I can't wait to get my hands on you and actually like do it with you. Because I found the same thing in the very beginning. Some of it was really easy until I did my certification course. And I remember I booked a private with one of their trainers because same thing, I wasn't feeling what they were telling me to feel. And in that 1 hour, this guy made me feel more than I felt anything in my body. And I stood up to do the founder in our morning workout, and my legs were just like quivering, like I literally couldn't do it because he actually made me feel the right muscles. So it's one of those workouts where it's all about the cueing, like how you cue the exercise. And you have to it's like you have to turn off your big moving muscles on the outside, and you really have to focus on the muscles that deeply stabilize you, the ones that stabilize your spine and your pelvis. And those are the ones that are really hard to get into if you're so used to just working your big global movers on the outside. So the next time you try those videos, just see if you can kind of shut off your big muscles on the outside and get really deep and internal and really focus in on your breathing. Because the whole purpose is to decompress. So if you think of the rib cage, like if you were to put your hands on your ribs now, like most people when they breathe, they automatically breathe forward. And that's great, but there's like two other ways that your ribs can expand. It's like a three-dimensional pattern. It can go forwards, it can go sideways, and it can go backwards. Well, if I'm constantly breathing forward, like if you try that, you'll feel your back get short. And so you're always going to breathe and have compression. So if you do the opposite and you think of your breath going backwards and sideways, it creates more of a lifting sensation. And so what that does is it kind of pulls the muscles along the spine to support you. So you're again no longer resting into your joints. And that's the goal. The more you practice that, the more you do that. The more you practice just kind of letting your body hang on yourself, the more it's going to do that. Um, and then with the anchoring concept, it's just thinking of any muscle that attaches to the pelvis as a core muscle. So we do this thing called an inward anchor, which is going to target your adductors, your inner thighs. And so kind of pulling up from the arches of your feet up towards the pelvis and then decompressing from above, it creates kind of this finger trap effect where now you pull tension from your midline, from your center. And that's what you want to feel. Then we have this outward anchor, which for me really helps open up my SI joint in my back because now you're pushing out and creating more space into your lower back and your glutes. Um, so yeah, so we in the 6-week video that I started with, those are like the basic ones, right? Then it does get into more of a workout style, where you can make it. Sometimes I'll do them as a Tabata, where it's like 20 seconds on, 10 seconds off. Especially like the 8-point plank. I don't think I did that one in the videos, but that's a really, really challenging one to do. So
Sounds
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Yeah, I feel like a struggle that I have is that, like, based on, my past and childhood trauma or whatever, everything, I'm really good at, like, dissociating from my body. So, like,
Mhm.
kind of faster sort of movements where, like, I don't have to think so much and I can just do it, like, come a lot easier. But, like, that was the challenge for me with those foundation training. As I thought, I mean, I totally get that, like, in person is the best. But, like, in the videos, I thought you'd do a good job
Yeah.
of you say, like, "Let's think about this and think about that," and I'd be, like, laying there like, "Okay, I'm trying to connect my brain to the parts that you're talking about, and I'm having a hard
Mhm.
time." So, I guess it's one of those things you just have to
Yeah.
practice, and once you feel it, it becomes
Mhm.
easier.
I I think of it like if you're gonna build a house, like everybody wants to go in, paint the walls, decorate, move the furniture in, make it really cute. And to me, that's what like a big power workout is, like when you're moving your big muscles, like you're moving everything inwards. But if we like decorate the house, we have all this beautiful, stuff on the inside, but our foundation is crumbly. Something's going to give. So to me, it's like not the most fun workout to do, but it's necessary. It keeps my foundation strong, so then whatever I build on the outside, it can be supported. It's like waxing your board. Like, it's not the fun part of surfing, but you still have to do it. you know? So,
I just for the record, I am like one of those people that like never waxes my board. If this is you're seeing like the theme in my life, like who has time to wax their board? Like I feel like I'm seeing these
yeah,
parallels, like using the examples that you're using. It's like, oh yeah,
yeah,
waxing the board. Yeah, I don't really do that either.
yeah. But to me, I think because I work with most people that have pain in their body, that is the number one thing that really helps them get out of chronic pain.
Right.
And so, in my experience, unless you've had chronic pain, and it's one of those things that you're not gonna find a lot of value in. But if you do have chronic pain and it works, it's like the secret tool in your back pocket that you can always return to wherever you are because you don't need equipment. So if you're on a surf retreat and then you're using muscles that you maybe don't use as often and you're surfing for 7 days, and then your back gets tight, right? Like, it's uncomfortable and you wanna feel good. So that's when I return definitely to those exercises just to decompress, lengthen me back out, unwind any of the tightness that I might have built up so that I can go back out the next day and feel strong again in my body. So,
Right. Didn't you tell me that like while you were on a retreat that you were like helping women that were can you tell that story?
oh, totally. Yeah. So, my first retreat that I went on, it was in southern Costa Rica. And yeah, when someone says, "My back hurts," it's like, I can't not help them, like, I can't help myself, like, I have to help that person, and so, I'd hear people like, "Oh, man, my back feels tweaked," and I would just, show them an exercise or 2, and then another person would be like, "Well, my back hurts too," and then my back hurts too. So then I would end up, showing different people how to decompress, how to anchor, and then they felt better in their bodies, and so as great as yoga is, it's amazing, it's wonderful, and it's a whole different practice. This is similar to it, but again, it teaches you how to pull yourself with tension rather than just kind of go like chair pose is really similar to the founder, but they're massively different. They look similar, but they're completely different. And again, it's that anchoring and the focus on the breath to pull you upright and your pelvis as your platform to keep you stable from underneath. So now you have something to pull away from. Yeah.
So would you say that like that example you gave of like this person had a back thing and then that person, like was all of them I imagine that exact where they feel the pain or how they experience the pain was probably different, but was the remedy, like was the solution the same? Or were you
The
like
same.
looking at her and saying you need to do this and her and you saying you need to do this, something different?
I would say for the most part, like I typically go back to the standards, like the breathing, either on your back or on your belly. And what I really love about when you're laying prone on your stomach, um, and I'm sure this happens to a lot of amigas where if you haven't surfed in a while, your ribs, they hurt, right? Because like, if you're not used to being in that extension, your rib cage, like it's kind of digging into the board. I've noticed because now instead of my breath constantly going forward, I get my breath to go more backwards. Like I don't get that rib pain if I haven't surfed in a while. Like I'll feel some, but not as much as I used to because my breath has been trained to go backwards so much rather than forwards. So getting people just to do that because when you're paddling you end up in thoracic or mid back extension, and I think of that in two ways. There's kind of like the back bend way to extend, or there's like a pole that you're pulling out like a telescope pole, right? So those to me, those are two types of extension. So teaching them how to breathe both ways, but still their breath goes backwards and not so much forwards. And that is number one because you spend a lot of time paddling out.
Not when you're on the
So
toilet.
teaching them how to just yeah, teaching them how to like, especially on a longboard, I think of just making longer strokes and getting my lats more involved and almost making my body more like the pole. And then when I'm going into a wave, then I might go into more of that thoracic extension where, because you have to not have all your weight so forward. But teaching you how to do that in a healthy way for your body rather than just a passive way for it. So your muscles are again supporting you, not your joints of your back. Yeah, so just unwinding the body. Yeah, so unwinding the tightness, like there's the woodpecker rotation and then the windmill. Those are like my two favorite ones and I'm pretty sure I added those in before as well.
Yeah, you mentioned then that you 2 years ago you made the decision to close your studio. So
Mhm.
was that like how did that feel to like this thing that you had like invested time and I think you said you had it for 10 years or something that
Yeah.
was it how did it feel to be like, "It's time to change chapters," like, when you finally closed the doors and moved on to something else? Was there relief? Was there grief? Some combination?
I would say some combination. So sadly, I kind of suffer from migraines. And so stress is a huge factor for those. They're also hereditary. My grandma had them. And I just kept noticing that like the migraines were getting stronger and stronger. And I was not really allowing my body any rest. Like I never, like my nervous system was just jazzed all the time. So I think I lived in my fight or flight zone for the majority of my day. I was working 10 to 12 hours, 5 days a week, training one on one, mostly with clients. And so it's a lot of energy that you're giving and a lot of care. And I don't want to say I changed my personality for each person, but you kind of have to alter who you are just a little bit for to cater to each person's needs. And so being on and present for, 40, 50 hours a week, just in that realm, on top of being a mom, on top of having a husband who's traveling all the time as a pilot, like I never had rest. So I remember I had like a really strong migraine and I was like, okay, like what do I need to do? And I had this loud voice in my head that was like, stop working. And so I was like, oh, interesting. So kept working the next week, right? Same thing, Sunday night the next week. And I never get two in a row like that. Normally they space out like 2 or 3 a month, but never like back to back. I had another one, same thing. This loud voice in my head was like, you should just stop working and just focus on you for a little bit. So after that second time, that loud voice came into my head. I felt a little better the next day. I went for a walk and I just randomly found this podcast. And this woman was talking about how her nervous system was shot and if there was anything somebody could do to help themselves if they can afford to take a year off and just figure out what to do. So I decided that day, that's what I'm doing. I'm closing the business. I can't do this anymore. And honestly, it was the best decision I've ever made. I didn't work for about 6 months and I really just focused on me and letting my body heal, went on a surf retreat, did things that kind of boosted my confidence again in myself other than being a mom and a Pilates studio owner. Um, and then all these other opportunities have popped up since then. So, now I get to pick and choose. I have like a home studio, so I get to pick and choose who comes in here. I don't have to do all the social media marketing. I don't have to answer emails. Like, it's really easy. And then I work for a global company out of Toronto where I've gone up and filmed for their platform and do a lot of online trainings for them as well. So, yeah, it's just opened up a whole bunch of other opportunities that now I've got a better work life balance where I work 3 days a week. I would say sometimes four, but that gives me 3 or 4 days to be at home and do home things and go snowboard or surf and ski. And yeah, so I've finally found that balance where it's not all work and that's like what I do. Now I know like who I am in both realms, you know? So
Amazing. I mean,
yeah.
congratulations on both, like, listening to that voice and then being able to make it work. Did you, like I mean, like, as you're listening or as you're sorry, as I'm listening to you tell the story, I think some of it definitely feels, like, familiar, and yet I find that I am so just not good at resting, like, I obviously
Yeah.
choose my schedule and can kinda choose what projects to take on or not, and I identify a lot with the way that you were describing, like, that being in fight or flight, like, most of the day, but I feel like I just once you've been in that for a long time, it's really hard to, like, not be in that.
It is the hard it's like you have to become a whole different person. Um, yeah, I really just had to be mindful of, like, my thoughts, how I feel, and, even now, like, I have the Whoop, I don't know if you've seen those, but it's kinda like the Aura Ring where it tracks everything, like your sleep, your stress, your strain, and I'm finally down to, like, being under 2 hours in the high stress zone. Whereas, like, for months, I would look at my Whoop and it's like, you spent 6 hours in the high stress zone today. Most of that was outside of like activity. And so God knows what I was doing when I was actually working full time, so no wonder my body, it just takes time. It's honestly like retraining the nervous system is one of the hardest things to do. And you just have to be mindful of everything your thoughts, your actions, like your sleep, how much energy you put out, how much you get back in. And yeah, it's been a journey. It's been it's been a really bumpy journey.
So if you could share a couple of tips from that, like I hear you saying you have to be mindful
Mhm.
of, what's happening, but then once you're like aware, then what? Like what do you
Mm.
if you can share any of like what you do? Like is it something like self-talk? Is it like
Oh,
opting out of something? Like what are the tools that you use?
yeah, so I would say number 1, like, I didn't eat breakfast ever. Like, when I had my studio, I would get up at 5 in the morning, I'd be at work by 6, and I probably wouldn't really eat any food until, like, 11 or 12, if I even scheduled myself a lunch break. So, I'd say number 1, especially for women, if you're in this high stress fight or flight, eat breakfast. Because it immediately, like, when I wake up in the morning, I'll even if it's just, like, a small yogurt or something, like, to tell you it sends a signal of safety to your body that, like, "Hey, I'm good, I'm not starving, I'm safe." Where I would just wake up and have 2, maybe 3 cups of coffee, and that would power me through lunch with, like, nothing else other than caffeine, so that wrecked my hormones, kept me in that fight or flight zone because then your cortisol is already high when you wake up in the morning, and then you add caffeine on top of that with no other food in your system, your cortisol goes back to high again, so already I'm starting my day in this high stress zone. Then by 3, I'm just tanked, because my body's been in this, ah. So I think number 1 is intermittent fasting is definitely a buzz thing, but I don't feel like that's great for women unless you have a healthy nervous system or do your intermittent fasting at night. Like you have dinner at 6, don't eat breakfast again till 7 in the morning. There's your 12, 13-hour window for fasting. So I'd say that would be number 1 is actually eating food. And scheduling a lunch break because again for years I would just have client after client after client and I might schedule a lunch break but typically I wouldn't and I would just have a power bar or some super like anything that I would just could quickly just eat. So then really I wasn't fueling my body until 5 p.m. when I got home and that's not good.
No.
So
That's not good.
this sounds horrible. I can't believe I did this for so many years.
No, but it's good to like speak out because I'm sure that you're not alone, and there is that belief. And I think maybe that's changing, but I remember I was thinking like, oh yeah, if you intermittent fasting, like you said, it is kind of like a buzz that like people do, like, oh, I'm not gonna eat until 10 or I'm not gonna eat until noon. But like you said, like for women in particular, like I feel like a lot of these studies that show benefits to intermittent fasting are done on men, right? Just like any other health
Oh,
study.
totally.
Primarily, it's done on men, and intermittent fasting might be totally great for men, but we are not men, and so it's not good for us.
It's not especially if you're, like, at our age where our hormones are starting to shift, and so we already have, like, maybe lower progesterone and testosterone and maybe higher estrogen, so it makes all that even worse, so and then you add again caffeine on top of that because that's what we do. It's really not good for
That is what we do, yes.
that is what we do, and then it worked for us in our 20s and 30s, but as we start to hit this, you know new stage of our life. It's just you really just have to I have to, like, really prioritize nutrition. So where I was eating healthy before, I just wasn't eating enough. Um, yeah, it's very counter from what growing up in the '90s, right? Like, it's really counter from what we heard in the '90s and early 2000s of how to eat.
Okay, so I think that one's really good, but you were about to say something else. What's step number 2?
Step number 2 is I would just be really mindful of your thoughts, right? So, like, um if you start to feel like for me, again, not eating food, that was number 1, but then just being mindful of thoughts. If I start to feel anxious or stressed, like what's causing that? And just kind of noticing like what those little stress triggers are or anxiety triggers or whatever it is. Um, and I don't want to say meditating for me isn't the end all be all. Like I have working with this really amazing functional doctor. And after she looked through my all my tests and blood work, she's like, "Yeah, you can't meditate your way into a better life. Like you have to physically move every single day." So rebounding is another thing that I'll do if I start to feel like my nervous system is really jazzed and I have all this pent up energy. Like I don't know if it feels like this in your body, but it's like you're revving tires, like your body needs to go, but there's nowhere to go. And so, like, I'll jump on my rebounder and just kinda she has me doing shaker sizes where I'll just kinda shake it
What's a
out a little bit,
what's a rebounder?
like a mini trampoline.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Like a little rebound.
Little mini trampoline, or if there's not one of those accessible, just to, like, shake, like, shake your muscles out and just kinda, like, disperse all that energy throughout the rest of your body. Yeah.
That is one that I have used. I found it really interesting. I did not know this, but you know how and you have a dog, so do I. If your dog gets like agitated and like comes across another dog or like barks, like afterwards they'll shake and like I had never realized that part of that is actually like getting those stress hormones out of their body. So it is something that now I have like started to do and I feel like it looks really silly, but it does actually feel good.
Yeah, it does, just to move it around, get the energy out, for sure.
So, where now that you have your home office going on and making awesome videos for us and other people, like where do you see yourself going next? Like, is this like for the foreseeable future, or do you have like goals in mind for yourself?
God, I keep coming back to that, but it's kind of really nice to, like, just be for right now and not have to worry about I mean, I keep coming back to, like, making a website with all these things that I've learned on this health journey that I've been on. I just need someone to do it for me, and then I can just plug in the information. So if there's any amiga out there that really is great with websites, that's what I wanna do. As of right now, I'm just really enjoying what I'm doing. Like, I'm teaching in my home studio. I teach at a little yoga studio here in town twice a week, making online content. I love the flexibility that I have. So I really don't want to work for someone, per se. Like, I don't want to have to physically be somewhere. Um, I mean, I do in my studio, but I set my schedule. So it's a great question. I'll definitely be here because my daughter's 10, and so we'll be here until she at least graduates and just keep taking trips. And um, eventually, my husband and I, we both love the water, and we had a sailboat when we were in North Carolina. So eventually, we do want to return back to that, where we take off and do a little sailing trip around the world, or some fun places like that. Um, but having a child, it's kind of harder to uproot while they're in school.
For
So,
sure.
yeah.
And how about your daughter when it comes to like when it comes to fitness and, like, I don't know, my daughter's 11, so we're kind of in the same boat there, and I have noticed that, this younger generation like, when we were little, like, I don't remember ever thinking about, like, working out. Like, I felt like that wasn't a thing at all
Yeah.
until maybe, like, high school, and all of a sudden, your body's changing and you whatever. Like, I remember thinking about working out when I was in high school a little bit, but even maybe not even till because I was an athlete, and that was the only reason, like but I feel like now with this generation, like my daughter is like so much more aware of like body image than I was at that age, probably because of social media. And it's like something she will like say to me, like, we need to work out, mom. We need to work out, mom. And I'm like, really? I mean, yeah, we do. Okay, let's do it. Like, thank you for being my
Yeah.
accountability partner. But like you being a fitness instructor, like how does your daughter talk to you about that, or how do you think about talking to her about it?
She'll come in here and do some stuff with me, but she does gymnastics twice a week. Like, she's in a competitive program, and their floor stuff is all Pilates. So she's getting that already, but someone else is teaching her. And then she does downhill skiing once a week, for lessons, and then cross country skiing and skate skiing. So she has something every day of the week minus
Got it.
Fridays and Sundays. So she doesn't want to do more, because she's spending an hour and a half to 2 hours or, on the mountain all day. Yeah. So she's the opposite. Like, she wants to just come home and watch a movie or a show.
Nice. That's
But
awesome.
yeah, but just being in such an outdoor community here in Montana, like, people don't necessarily, I mean, they do work out, but it's more like an outdoor thing. So I think that's why, like, Pilates here and the foundation training has been so great, is because, again, it's like oiling your bike or, building the foundation so you can do all those other things pain-free. So she just, I don't know, she has her own her own ways of working out, and um, yeah. So she's 10 and she's not into her body image at all right now.
That's great. Good for her and for you. Yeah, I would well, yeah, and we'll see how it goes, and I would say that, like, Luna, it's been really been in the last few months that I feel like all of a sudden, her body is changing, and so she's, like, suddenly more aware of that, so
Yeah.
we'll
Well, I will
see
say
how.
my daughter had a sleepover, and it was like all these fifth graders where she's still in fourth grade. And I asked her, "What do you guys talk about?" And they talked a lot about bodies and changing. And, some of them are starting to develop. And so we're probably getting there next year, I would
Yeah,
say.
it's coming. Yeah,
It's,
'cause Luna's in 5th grade, so yeah, it's coming.
hmm
But it's good, and appreciate being able to do it differently with her than the way that my mom did it with me, so I'm trying to
yeah,
figure it out as we go, but like, both am, like, nervous or not nervous really, but just, like, anticipating with emotion how
yeah,
these changes will go, and also looking forward to being able to have a healthier conversations around it as the
yeah.
conversations come up.
I think for us, it's more like the foods. Like, I don't know how it's in Central America as much, but like all the sugar and everything. And so I try to just educate her more on like instead of don't eat that, I want her to know why, like this is what sugar does or excessive, you know, dyes and seed oils. So I try to educate her more than just saying, no, you shouldn't have that. So
Right.
yeah.
Which, it is tricky because I do the same, and then she's like, "I don't care." And I
Oh,
was like, "Alright, then that's fair."
yeah.
But at least you know, you're at least
Yeah.
making an educated decision. I'm just telling you why I'm not having it, so.
Hear her and her friends like in the backseat, like when I drive them all over the place, and one of them will be like, "Oh, you're eating that candy? It has red dye in it." Has yellow 40, or whatever it is, or yellow 5 and red 40. So I feel like a lot of the moms here were all like on the same boat with things. So
Yeah, that's
yeah.
great. Well, thank you so much for sharing your story. Is there anything that you're doing that you wanna, like, talk about or promote or anything?
I would say if people do want to learn more about the foundation training, they do have their own website, which is foundationtraining.com. And so to definitely, because what I've just, put on yours is just like a real small sampler. They've got a streaming site as well that really gives you some good in-depth knowledge. So if you're one of those people that you found value in some of that content, definitely go check out what they have online. Dr. Eric Goodman, he created it. He's who I learned under directly. And so I could listen to him talk all day long. Like his cueing is just so good and he gets really down to like the science behind it. Um, yeah, so if that helps, I would say it's just like one of the number one things that I would have everyone do at least 3 times a week, just to keep the longevity in your body. Um, yeah, that's about it. So I've really enjoyed, like, I will say also, like, going on your retreats. They have just been amazing, like, just absolutely amazing. So if there's anybody listening that's just on the fence, it's worth it. Just do it.
Awesome. Yeah, and I'm excited that you're gonna be joining us on one of the holistic surf coaching retreats in
Yeah.
April.
Mhm.
If it's something that you feel comfortable sharing in public, can I
Yeah.
ask you, like, what helped motivate you to choose that retreat specifically?
Well, honestly, because I wanted to learn, like, I've had amazing instructors. I think Shelly and Angie, they've been like two of my favorites. I've learned so much with both of them. But I just, like sometimes I just like to go to the source, like so you were a big draw for that. And then also because I've been on this kind of healing journey for the past, 2 years since closing my business, and just trying to figure out why my body freaks out with migraines. Just I want to see like what you have to offer in that realm of like the whole healing space in addition to what I love to do in the water. So, yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Sweet. Well, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
And yeah, thank you again. Thanks for sharing the story. And I look forward to hanging out in person. And anyone that hasn't checked out the videos on Surf with Amigas online, you can go to surfwithamigas.com and there's a training and tutorials tab. And then there's all the videos there. and it's a membership-based platform, or you can just get the series. Like, Gabriel has 2 different series now, the little bit more accessible 6-week program, and then the advanced workout, which might have you struggling to walk down the stairs like me in the last few days. But
Yeah.
it's good for you. I can't wait to do the next workout now that I'm finally recovered and ready for round 2.
Wait till you get to the one with the chair. That one even got me.
Awesome. I can't wait. Looking forward to it. All right.
Oh,
Thank
well,
you so
thanks
much,
again.
Gabriel.
Bye.